Welcome to the sixth episode of American Jail Association's podcast. I'm Chris Daniels, AJA's Executive Director. Today, the topic is going to be the important role that chaplains play in jails, and we're really going to lean into the important roles they play as a dedicated chaplain to the staff in particular. And today, I'm joined by a few guests. I have Sheriff Eric Weisburn with me with the Stark County Sheriff's Office in Canton, Ohio. And also joining us today is Chaplain Phil Lohmeyer, also with Stark County. And then Shaun Klucznik is also on tap. Major Klucznik is with the Hernando County Sheriff's Office, and he's also AJA's current president. Welcome, everyone.
Thanks, Chris. Glad to be here.
Yeah. And so, Sheriff, I understand you actually got your career started in corrections.
I did way back in 1991. So I started out in corrections, and I was a corrections officer here at the Stark County Sheriff's Office for 7 years. And then while still employed here, they put on a deputies academy. So I was chosen to attend that academy, and then I got my commission. And then I went out to the road and did all the duties of the road patrol and investigations and school resource officers and did all kinds of different things here at the sheriff's office. And then when I got promoted to lieutenant in 2016, I came back to the corrections side of the business, and I was the assistant jail commander, and I held that position until I retired in January of 22.
Okay, and I understand that you are kind of the driving force behind the evolution of your chaplains program there. More specifically, you see the importance of having a dedicated chaplain who's focused on staff in addition to the support that inmates get from chaplains, correct?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the sheriff's office has had affiliation with chaplains, but whenever I started in January, when I was elected sheriff in last year, and then I started my term January of this year, I noticed that Chaplain Lohmeyer was around here a lot. And and he's just a great guy. And it dawned on me that he's not even on our staff. He's not even getting paid. But he showed up at all the events. He was here at the office all the time. He totally volunteered all of his time and talent to the sheriff's office. And quite honestly, I thought, for a guy that's around here that much, that isn't quite right. So I needed to do something about that. So that's when I thought, no, I'm gonna bring him on to be part of the staff, because I saw the benefit of having a chaplain here for our employees. And boy, he has not let down. And I'll tell you, as this whole year has gone through, time after time after time, he has stepped in to fill roles that, quite honestly, when me and him sat down at the beginning of the year, we had no idea it was going to be part of his duties.
Mm-hmm.
He has married employees. He has served as the officiant at funerals, unfortunately, that we have had for family members, employees' family members who have passed away. He has stepped and filled that role. So he has handled it all here for the sheriff's office, and couldn't be any happier with the program we have going on.
Wow. So Chaplain Lohmeyer, it sounds like you stepped into a very important role with a lot of responsibilities associated with it. Congratulations, by the way. And could you tell us a little bit more about your background?
Love to. Thank you. And I'm just blessed to be here. Very similar to the sheriff's background. I started out in corrections myself a few years before the sheriff, back in 1989. Did 22 years in law enforcement and corrections, and most of that in corrections. Was a former jail administrator in a smaller jail here in Ohio, and did that. And then when I got into chaplaincy, my heart is with first responders, and that's where my heart is, and my love for these guys and girls here. And when we look at the statistics of trauma and suicide and all of that, I just feel that they need a better alternative than we have been giving them. So I try to be there to make sure that everyone is seen and heard, and that I'm around for them. And it has just been a blessing in disguise. And All the days aren't easy by any means, but we're here for them, and I just walk alongside whatever happens to come along for that day.
Hmm. And could you or the sheriff tell us a little bit more about your jail, the size of it, just to give everyone some context for how large you are as far as the number of staff goes, the number of beds?
Sure, absolutely. We have a 526 bed facility. Today, I think we have like 545 inmates in our jail. So we're sort of a medium size here. We're not the largest in the state, but we're the eighth largest county in Stark County, or in state of Ohio, I'm sorry. Um, we have, for our inmates, we have one full-time chaplain and we have one full-time chaplain assistant. And then we have 10 volunteer chaplains that come in and provide services for our inmates.
Wow. Okay, that's very impressive. And so, Chaplain Lohmeyer, one of the things you're really focused on is providing support and services to the corrections officers at the jail, correct?
That's correct. And we try to keep a kind of a line of distinction there, just so that I don't inadvertently share a story that a corrections staff or one of the staff members have talked to me about in their personal life. I don't inadvertently share that with an inmate or vice versa. Now, that's not to say that if I'm back in the jail and there's an inmate that's in crisis, I'm certainly going to help work through that with the jail staff and help them in any way I can, because that certainly helps our staff. It helps our citizens that happen to be in our jail, and just works out for everybody. But then the aftercare, that they'll get referred to the chaplains that are working in the jail and taking care of that end of things. So we
Yeah,
work
so it
hand in
sounds like
hand with them.
right, and it sounds like, it's important that someone's dedicated to the staff to help establish that trust and
Right.
everything, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Can you talk a
Chris,
little
well,
more
yeah,
about that?
to expand on that just for a
Yes.
minute, I think what was interesting is when Chaplain Lohmeyer now was here all the time and very visible in the hallways and in the jail and administration, and we have 283 employees. So he goes to, and we're all spread out. We're not all in one building. We have a dog
Hmm.
warden division, we have civil, we have metro, we have different places that courthouses that we have employees at. And he goes to all those places and talks to those employees. And I think what really was, I don't want to say it was surprising, but I think it's just an absolute testament to how this all works is, right at the beginning, everyone's like, what's he here for now all the time? Why is he here all the time?
Hmm.
Is he going to tell the sheriff what I maybe say if I'm having a hard time in my relationship or finances or whatever that woe is that they're having in life? Is the chaplain going to go back and tell the sheriff, hey, you need to look out for employee X, Y, or Z because something's going on in their life? And one, I don't want to know, and two, he ain't going to tell me. So
Hmm.
even though he reports directly to me, he doesn't report any of that to me. So what his conversations are with my employees is between him and that employee. Now, of course, if that employee was in, major distress and threatening self-harm or something like that, then of course the chaplain has to make me aware of that so that we could take the actions necessary. But I think that he has shown time and time again how reliable he is, and none of that happens. He never comes back and reports those things. Now he'll tell me, hey, I went to these buildings. I traveled and went to this meeting. I met with X number of employees, but I don't know where those employees are located. I don't know if they're the guys, the girls, the names. I
Hmm.
don't know any of that. So everything he talks with them about is confidential, and he just really is a calming force around here. Just in talking to him, he's very calm, and he brings that to the table with all the people that he talks to, and I think that's why they trust him. And I just think that's so important. You got to have faith in your pastor, right? That you know
Hmm.
that what you're saying to them is going to be confidential. So he has proven it time and time again, and I can't be any more proud of the program we have going on here.
Thank you. So, Chaplain Lohmeyer, the sheriff made some really solid points about the importance of establishing that trust level and some of the things that you have to do for a jail who's not where you're at in Canton County. What would you suggest is, I'm sorry, Stark County in Canton, Ohio, right? What would you recommend for jails who are just getting a program started or considering starting a program where they have a dedicated chaplain for staff?
I would say it takes time. You have to build that trust that can kind of bear the weight of truth, uh, as it would be. So it's going to take time. So be patient with that. Be consistent. You have to show up. You have to be there and be consistent with that, whether it's, once a month, once a week, whatever your time commitment allows, and your schedule allows. Be consistent in that. Be creative, whether it's emails or newsletters or however you need to communicate to the staff. Do that, but be consistent in it. And I think that consistency and then just showing up and being there in the easy times and the hard times, the staff will then realize that you're there for all of that and not just for the ceremonies and the good times, but you're there in the depths of it as well.
Okay, and the sheriff shared that you have fairly large staff. They're spread across different buildings, and so I would think there would be some challenges that just come with the visibility part and making sure that you're visible and on site at different events and things like that.
It is, and it's a difficult schedule at times, but that's my job and that's what I'm here for. So, there are weeks when I might go 8 or 9 days in a row, not 8-hour days, but I'll be at different events and have a very flexible schedule, and that has to be part of it as well. You have to be flexible in your schedule. For me here, now other departments, may not be able to do that. Again, it's just being consistent in that, but that's what works for us here. Just to be able to get around to the different shifts. I come in and meet with midnight shift folks and afternoon shift folks and all of that because we have to make sure we're there for everybody.
Hmm. And President Klucznik, I know one of the things that we've had a lot of discussions about recently is just the importance of providing a wide range of support for the inmates in particular who may come from various religious backgrounds. Obviously, that's going to be a factor for staff too. What do you have to add to that thought, Major Klucznik?
Yeah, so I absolutely agree. We've talked about that ad nauseum, it seems like, and thank God for the sheriff and the chaplain here for taking a lead on presenting this topic. Listen, we all have our own faith backgrounds. We're on our own little path, no matter what. Chaplains have to meet people, staff and inmates both, where they are, and definitely can't push their own personal religion or their personal, denomination or whatever. And I'm excited to see the chaplain nodding along because that's so vital. Sometimes you end up with scenarios, especially with the inmates, when inmate programming, they come in from a very specific church, and that's fine. And the inmates know they're signing up for the Seventh-day Adventist or the Catholics, or that they're expecting that. But when you have a staff chaplain, especially, you have to be able to meet the staff where they are and then give them guidance. And if one of your deputies or officers are Muslim or Jewish, then the chaplain's going to find a way to make sure he meets them and their needs, the immediate needs, and he's going to find resources for them to make sure they connect. And I guarantee that's already happening in Stark County. You can tell. Very, very excited about this program.
Okay. Yeah. Sheriff Weisburn, Chaplain Lohmeyer, anything to add to that?
Well, yeah, he hit it. I mean, that's exactly what it is. I mean, we don't get into a specific religious group and just focus on that. We're here for the whole spiritual need of whatever that is, and we'll find you whatever resources needed. I will tell you this, Chris, that for a price, I may have some photographs available of Chaplain Lohmeyer dressing up to sit on the dunking booth at our summer picnic
Ah.
He may or may not have dressed up as, let's see, what era would that be? Like a 30s era type swimsuit.
Oh no.
Covers your whole body. But like I said, for a price, I probably could provide those photographs if you would like to put that on your social media.
Wow. So that's going above and beyond as far as getting yourself immersed in the staff and their lives. So that's awesome, Chaplain Lohmeyer, and I appreciate you sharing that with us, Sheriff. So Chaplain, anything to add to those thoughts about providing
No,
the
I would agree. We are a chaplain for everyone. No matter what their beliefs are or where they came from, we need to meet them where they are. And I would go on further to say that a lot of folks have been hurt by religion and hurt by church. And we need to be here just to make sure that they are seen and heard. And even though they've been hurt by religion, they still maintain some level of faith. And we need to just kind of dive into that and help them be able to hold on to that faith that they may have had at one time, to be able to reconnect with that and then connect them with whatever resources they need moving forward to get back to a place where they can find peace in their life.
Mm-hmm. And Chaplain Lohmeyer, with a staff that large, I'm guessing you get pulled in a lot of directions, right? So, what would your guidance be to a jail considering launching a similar program as far as how they need to show up and their availability and like how you navigate all of that?
Again, just be cautious of your schedule, and be consistent, but don't put yourself in a predicament where you're overdoing it. We have to take care of as chaplains, we have to take care of our own mental health, our own spiritual care as well. So make sure that we have somebody to debrief with. And I have a team of chaplains that I meet with regularly to debrief myself, to make sure that I'm okay, and that I'm not carrying too much weight myself, and that we're there. And then make sure you maintain those date nights with your spouse, those ball games with the kids, and you maintain some of those life family balances that you need, that we tell our staff and others to do. We need to make sure that we're following our own advice, which is sometimes difficult for us to do because we're those type of people that want to go out and help and do for others, and we sometimes forget to step back and take our own advice.
Solid
Chris,
point.
can I jump in real quick?
Yes, go ahead.
So I was thinking, as a chaplain was describing that, it kind of compares to just being a command staff member, right? So if it's a real big heavy hitting emergency, odds are good the chaplain is probably going to show up. So he's got to be that little bit of on call, and then the command staff member is in the building or on duty during the week, and everybody knows and can be at least predictable as to when they're going to be around. And then when bad things happen, the chaplains tend to show up. And I mean, that's worst case scenario. Bad things are an automatic draw. Obviously, I would love the fact that you're performing weddings for staff. That is awesome. And Sheriff, I want to point out, I think it's awesome he's wearing a uniform. That is very, I mean, I see it, you see it across the country, but I just love the fact that, and looking sharp too, for the record, Chaplain, looking very sharp. I love the fact that he's in uniform, so easily recognizable, and that's some really good stuff.
Good, thank you.
And Sheriff, given the demands on the time of the chaplains on your staff, I understand you found kind of a high-tech solution to help with that a little bit through the introduction of the Hallow app. Could you?
Yes.
For those who aren't familiar with that, could you maybe talk a little bit about that, please?
Yes, we're very proud of that. The Hallow app is an app that is on the inmate tablets. So it gives them access to religious services and education right from their cells. It's worked with IC Solutions is the company that we use for inmate tablets and phones. And I think that we pretty much piloted that with them to get that going. So we were very proud of that, and it seems to be very successful and working very well with the inmate population.
Okay. Chaplain Lohmeyer, anything to add to that?
No, I think with society today, anything that we can do through apps and through resources that can follow them, you know, once they're through our system and they move on, you know, everyone's connected to their cell phones, their apps, and that's just a great resource for continuing into the future.
Yeah,
Chris,
that's great.
another interesting thing about that is they get when they get released, the inmate also gets a 3-month subscription to that. So even after they're out of our facility, they still have that ability to log into that app and get those services through Hallow, even after they've been out of our jail.
Outstanding.
So it continues on with it. Yeah, it really is a great program.
Yeah. Yeah. And technology is obviously for a solution for some things in jails with regards to the staffing situations in many of our nation's jails. So it's good to see, you guys kind of tackling that through an innovative use of an app. That's really impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're really happy about that. And another thing that the Chaplain Lohmeyer does is recently, it's just this morning, I sworn in our 283rd employee that I told you that we have. And what he does, he gives them a challenge coin. And on that challenge coin is obviously his name, but on the back of it is his phone number. And he instills in them that at any time you ever need me, to reach out, to him. So I think that's really cool that he gives them a coin for every new employee that comes in, and the current employees he's gone around, and I'm sure all of them have at least one or two of his coins. But it just is a great reminder as you have that in your pocket that having a bad day, life is a challenge. So you pull that coin out and you have a contact number right on there.
I love that. Yeah, something very tangible for them to carry around. So
Right.
fantastic.
And he does it even from our new cadets that are in the academy. When we
Wow.
have the academy, day one of the corrections officers academy, he goes to that class and he hands out each person a coin so that they too have immediate access to him, even though they're just in our academy. And
Mhm.
some of them aren't even our employees, because we host academies where we bring in people from other agencies and educate them as well.
Nice.
He goes above and beyond.
It certainly sounds like it, and that's a very innovative approach to making sure that you're at the forefront where you need to be when people need a resource, right? So congratulations on that very creative solution. And Chaplain Lohmeyer, I know your duties will sometimes kind of cross into, kind of mental health support, peer support, and things like that. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the services that you provide to your staff?
Sure. I've also CISM, critical incident stress management, CISM certified. So I work with our county critical incident team. We do critical incident debriefings, de-stressings, those types of things. I do peer-to-peer counseling. We're in the process of getting our peer support team finalized and up and running here, just to keep more things like that moving forward. Again, I'm meeting with folks one-on-one all the time to do those types of debriefings, if you would, or de-stressings and that kind of stuff. And just keeping an eye out for those times when people might just be a little stressed or a little fatigued and might not even recognize it in themselves, and just say, hey, maybe it's time to take that vacation day, or don't forget to take date night with the spouse or the significant other.
Yeah, and I would assume that you're kind of the go-to source for additional support services that might be available to folks as well.
Yes, I keep a portfolio, if you will, of different resources that are available to folks in the community, whether it be through we obviously have employee assistance programs, but then we have other things that are available outside of that, whether it's veteran resources or just spiritual resources or other community outreach types of things.
And we all know that corrections is something that it's hard to put behind you at the end of the day when you go home to your family and everything. And so, sometimes the family support and support services and all of that is important as well.
It is. It's very important, and I always make sure that when I'm giving that coin to the new employee, and a lot of times their family is there with them, I make sure that I tell the family member when they forget to call me, you remind them. And then I remind the family members that we're here for them as well. And I do make sure that I reach out to family members and tell them that, when you start to see a change, in your significant other that just isn't quite right, reach out and let me know, and I'll go have a conversation with them. Because we should be leaning into those relationships rather than trying to keep things from them. As you said, in corrections and law enforcement in general, we tend to not want to burden our loved one with the stresses of the job, and we don't need to give them all the nitty gritty, but we need to find a constructive way to share that, hey, we've just had a bad day today, and maybe our spouse or significant other or family member needs to be able to know of how to help us do that, whether it's hand us a chocolate bar or hand us a glass of wine or just give us some free time or some space for a while. Whatever that love language is, we help them to sort through that.
And President Klucznik, corrections officers are obviously put in a position where they often have to be first responders, and they're subjected to traumatic incidents. And I'm sure you've experienced some of that in your jail. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure, there's no doubt that correctional officers across this country are first responders. I mean, we are responding to fires and fights and accusations of rape. I mean, there's all sorts of things that happen in jail every day across this country that should never ever. If there's a fire happens in your jail, the CEOs are the first ones there. The fire department gets there afterwards, right? If you have anything else that happens and law enforcement's responding, you don't have an internal unit to handle that. The CEOs are there first, right? So you definitely have to deal with that, and sometimes you don't even, kind of like dispatchers. Sometimes like the hospital post could end up, or an inmate gets to the hospital, and the deputies that were on scene don't have the end of it. They don't know how the story ended. They could be doing chest compressions. I mean, eventually you'll hear about it, but a lot of times dispatchers pick up that phone, get the 911 call, and then they don't know what happened after they terminated the call. So COs deal with a lot of that. I mean, there's post-traumatic stress, and there's also cumulative stress, and that builds up. Being in a building that is not soft, it's not comfortable usually. You're walking on a lot of concrete, surrounded by metal bars and high security and loud noises. Yeah, it builds up. There's no doubt there. And I think the chaplain was saying it perfectly. Sheriff, you said you have 283 employees now?
Yes, sir.
So you're probably really responsible for about 1,000 people at least when it comes to families, and never mind the friends, because that could get into multiple thousands. So having that level of support established at the academy level is awesome. That's definitely forward thinking, and definitely get the buy-in for the new staff where they feel supported immediately. That's really cool. And Chaplain, I'm going to send you one of my coins. If I can get one of yours for my collection, it'd be fantastic.
Absolutely.
Okay. And President Klucznik, I know that you've kind of used your platform as the AJ president to really heighten awareness around the fact that it's okay not to be okay, right? And, elevating awareness about suicide and where people can get support if they're having suicidal thoughts. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. I mean, I've been pretty open about my story. My father committed suicide when I was 18 years old, and that was about 6 months before I jumped at the Corrections Academy myself. And that was an eye-opening situation for me, because there was a lot of times where people like, well, if somebody's talking about suicide, they're not going to do it. They're just looking for attention. Well, no, my dad talked about it a whole lot, and then he did it. So I quickly learned that you got to take those threats serious. And even coming into the jail and finishing the academy, they were even teaching things that were contrary to that. So thankfully, life experience and actually professional experience in the jail opens my eyes to it. And mental health has always been important to me. I used to love managing the mental health unit, and especially challenging cases where you could get people just to comply with taking their medicine, taking a shower, eating their food. But then there's some huge wins sometimes where there's real success stories where people have turned their lives around and thankfully been able to stay out of jail. Not easy. And then, I had a worst case scenario last year where one of my staff members took her own life. That was absolutely devastating to me, to the staff, to her family. But tell you what, during our roll calls and every time we needed somebody there, our chaplains were there. And that's a vital cog, even if they don't say a word, just their presence says a lot. So yes, I think it's the most important thing we can do is take care of our people. That's all aspects. That's, physical health, mental health, spiritual health, and all those tie in together. So I appreciate this conversation because this is something I've been, chomping at the bit to get to, and I appreciate the sheriff and the chaplain jumping in to help us with this one.
Yeah. Gentlemen, anything to add to Shaun's comments?
No, I think he hit it exactly right, and it is actually our honor to be here with you all talking today about this, because we jointly all share the thought that having a chaplain in your facility for the, as you said, the spiritual, and just be there. As the major said, the chaplain didn't even have to talk in those roll calls. Just that he was there, just presence alone speaks volumes without saying a word. And knowing that he has the support of the administration, I think is important too. The man that he knows that he, I don't govern him. I don't micromanage him. He's his own man. He goes out and he does what he needs to do for the betterment of all the employees. So it truly is our honor to have been on here to maybe bring some awareness to other facilities that are out there, who are maybe toying with the idea of, do I need that, or should I use the same chaplain as I use for the inmates? Whatever they're struggling with, I highly encourage you to not do that, to separate the two. Of course, the inmates are very important. Of course, that is somebody's loved one, and we will take care of those inmates in our jail, I promise you. But we also, I promise you, will take care of our employees. And one of those ways we're doing that is by having a chaplain dedicated just to them, to show that we care, we value you, and we're here for whatever you need. So yeah, if you're struggling with the idea, should I do it? My answer is you absolutely should do it. You absolutely should do it.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you for those thoughts, Sheriff. You've built an impressive program. I think we've shared some really good information with others about how they can go about creating their own program and important points to consideration or consider. And hopefully we've given them a little bit of inspiration as well to consider having a dedicated staff chaplain. So Chaplain Lohmeyer, do you want to close out any closing thoughts for us?
I guess my only closing thought would be that our jails should be a safe haven for anyone that comes through the door, whether it's our staff members, our inmates, our visitors. It should be a safe haven, and our chaplains help play a pivotal role in that. So I guess that would be my closing thought.
Thank you. And thank you, President Klucznik, for joining us today. Sheriff Weisburn, Chaplain Lohmeyer, I know you're all incredibly busy, but this is important work, and I really appreciate you taking the time to talk a little bit about it today. And for those of you who viewed this podcast, please be sure to share it and like it, help us get the word out a little bit. And thank you for joining us for this episode.
Thank you, Chris.